The Philadelphia Eagles, our 2023 preview for the defending NFC champion Eagles. It's kind of crazy to consider the conversations we were having about the Eagles in July and August of 2022. I did a show with Barnwell where we talked about the people who had the most at stake heading in to this year, or maybe the widest outcomes. I can't remember how we framed it all. It's been a year. But Jalen Hurts was firmly entrenched in those conversations.
High variance things.
Yeah. The things that could really swing the season either way. The guys that we really wanted some information about. That Bucs playoff game was so seared into all of our brains and what the Eagles looked like. And it was just so clear, even if they had done a lot of good things in 2021 and the tweaks they made on offense were smart and we had some faith in the staff, it was so obvious what they needed to do to get over the hump and what that gap looked like. And it was so quarterback centric. That game feels so far away now. And those conversations feel so far away now. The rest of the roster seemed prime for contention heading into last season. And we had this Jalen Hurts sized question. Now, a lot of that question has been answered. The guy got extended. He had the best game of his career in the Super Bowl. So that's the taste we have in our mouth heading into this season. And the rest of the roster is still pretty fucking good.
Yeah, when breaking this down, because we'll go offense, defense, the offense was kind of easy because it was just, I mean, not so much as like, there's some stuff I'm going to ask, but more like the personnel. I'm looking up and down. I'm like, I know all these guys.
It's the same. Cam Jurgens literally is the only new starter on offense. That's it. Maybe the slot receiver. Maybe if old lady Zacchaeus gets some snaps. Like that's all of them. That's what we're talking about.
And Albert O sneaking onto this roster out of nowhere.
The running backs, obviously. I don't want to get too far into it, but like it's all minor changes. The main characters are the same. Yes. And even schematically, like they were such a good offense last year. We can talk about some of those tweaks, but it really is a team that we've gotten to know very well over the last 12 months. And I think we've all collected a pretty decent amount of respect for over the last 12 months. Yeah. So let's dig into the offense though. Okay. So what is the biggest question that you have about the 2023 Eagles offense?
It's how Brian Johnson steps in as a play caller and really the continued ascension of Jalen Hurts and what does this next year look like? Does he hit a wall? Do defenses figure him out? Or does he take another step? All he's done has gotten better every single year as a football player. That's amazing. That's remarkable. And it speaks to work ethic, his just football IQ, just accumulating as much positiveness as possible. So that's the best way I could put it. Cause it's just,
I can't remember. I somehow missed it in real time, but I was looking at something today and the quotes that he had after the Super Bowl were in there. And even the quotes he had after the Super Bowl were just so remarkably wise. And the guy is just, he has something about him. And we've talked about this so many times about how that kind of ineffable quality to who he is, I think has really fueled a lot of his success. But you almost forget it until every time you hear him open his mouth or you're exposed to him in any way, that's just who that guy is at his core. He's just incredibly impressive.
It just seems like a sweet guy. Like, I mean, I remember him on the Manning cast and like you could just tell they were kind of like, because the Mannings, especially on those Manning casts, they might have a red solo cup with them. And so they're kind of getting rolling when he comes on. I can't remember what game this is. It's probably their bye week. And he comes on and he's just so nice and just so like, just positive with every answer. And then Payne and Eli are starting to kind of jab a little bit. And then they realized, oh no, he's just like this. He's not going to roll that way with us. No, he's just going to stay
killer to him too. That's what I like about him is that he's very driven. He's very focused. And I think that led to a lot of the progress that we saw. So you look at the structure of the Eagles offense last year. Obviously, they're the most efficient run game in football, incredibly well-designed run game with Jeff Stoutland, one of, if not the best offensive lines in the league. And you have Jalen Hurts at the center of it. And it's just such a math flipper that really can allow you to dominate teams on the ground. The passing game was much more vertical than I expected it to be with AJ Brown. And they just had that aspect to them that I really maybe wasn't expecting based on their personnel. So when you think about the recipe on the offense for them last year, and maybe the 2 or 3 little tweaks they need this year to stay ahead of the curve and stay ahead of defenses gaining ground on them, what do those look like for you?
To me, it's an increased diversity with maybe personnel. I think maybe just adding those tight ends. Just how they carry their roster is interesting. They only have 4 receivers, 4 running backs, 4 tight ends, which is
4 receivers is wild.
It is. And they were predominantly out of 11 personnel last year. And it's actually really funny because then Steichen goes to the Colts and they only have 4 receivers. So it's like trying to what these guys making up their teams right now. But I thought that was interesting. This team was dominant out of 12 personnel when Dallas Goedert was healthy, especially throwing the ball. Like they actually were this team's going to be able to run the ball no matter what. I am not concerned about their run game whatsoever, especially when Jalen Hurts is healthy. The running back room just with DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, and then also with Rashad Penny, who is extremely talented. And with that offensive line with Jeff Stoutland, I think the run game, no matter what's going to be fine, but it's finding new ways to throw the ball. Not just living off the vertical stuff. How can we even lift the efficiency a little bit? Like
vertical stuff and RPOs. It was vertical stuff and then extension of the run game stuff. I think made up a large chunk of the passing game.
And that was it. And so when they get into 12, you could see a little bit difference, like just a little different ways that they would attack defenses. I think that's really interesting because like there's some efficiency that they need maybe out of 11 personnel because what you're speaking to right there, verticalness and RPOs. They're 19th in passing success rate out of 11 personnel, but they're about league average if you just look at the percentage. But then when they get into 12, they were second in passing success rate out of 12 personnel. I'm not including the Rams because they only did it like 20 times last year. They were over 6% better than league average, which is a huge percentage jump.
Do you know what their rushing success rate was out of 12 personnel?
They took a little bit of a drop, but it was
that's what's interesting.
47-ish, 46%. When usually they're hovering around 50.